So, about ready to start a journey to San Francisco. Okay. Now, let me just kind of want to get around it. Ukiah, California. Why did I pick Ukiah, California? Well, I'm familiar with the town. Been here before. Everything's kind of, the same. I mean, there's a few restaurants that aren't here that used to be here that I really, really liked, but other than that, I mean, it is what it is. So, a lot of issues that come up with a long drive are things that you're going to notice on the long drive. And so far, the car has done exactly what I thought it was going to do. It's been quite predictable. Did a little bit of driving last night and got myself into a situation where I was, tailing a Subaru that was going pretty good through the mountain roads. Speed limit's 55 on them, and I don't know who in their right mind would go 55 in anything other than a thing that is on rails. Anyway, there were times where I couldn't even go around a corner doing 20, feeling like I wasn't going to throw the car off. So anyway, I might have an issue with the ride height on this side. Might be a shock or something. I've got 3 fingers high here, and then on this side, I've got 3.5 fingers high. Now, that's not that bad. However, it sucks because now the car is starting to rub on the driver's side, which I never had that problem before, and it is something that developed on the way out here. So I'm not sure what's going on with it. It does feel like I got a dead shock though. I got underneath it and looked. It's not, shall we say, it's not leaking, but it does feel like I got a dead shock over here. So I think is what's happening, just my 2 cents here, is I have a bad shock on that side, which stinks because they're a year old, but that's what warranties are for, people. But the bad thing is I really wish it would have done it while I was at home, because I've got 2,000 miles that I gotta go in addition to whatever other driving I'm doing to deal with this. So I don't know, this is what it is. Anyway, gotta get the car ready for going to hopefully not get bothered in San Francisco. I do want a new side window on each side because of this number here, but I don't want to do it any sooner than I have to. But that's why you got full coverage, right? All right, guys, let's head to San Francisco. US 101, found in California. Stretches about 808 miles long in California, through California. The system itself is about 1,500 miles long, and it runs all along the Pacific Highway. It runs all along the Pacific Ocean, or runs you along that area. So, the Pacific Coast Highway, I just said Pacific Coast Highway, some stretches of 101 are considered the Pacific Coast Highway. That's not to say that that's incorrect. It is correct, because California Highway 1 does run along the same route, essentially. Although parts of California Highway 1 are insanely dangerous because of mudslides and stuff. Anyway, yeah, definitely look into the history of that. That is insane. The fact that they put a road there in the first place is just bewildering. But anyway, US 101, we're heading south. The beautiful thing about this is you go from 4-lane divided highways, proper interstate looking highways, to 2-lane going through the middle of small communities, highways. So the northern part of the California stretch of the, basically north of San Francisco, the US 101 is known as the Redwood Highway. Now the reason why is because obviously the redwoods. There are redwoods everywhere. Not so much along US 101, ironically enough. Not until you start getting past Ukiah do you start seeing a lot of redwoods. I mean, there are patches of redwoods along, but it doesn't really start getting thick. And I mean, basically, if you're heading toward Eureka from Ukiah, that's where the thing is thick. That's where all the action is. So, yeah. But anyway, we'll cover that in the next video. Interestingly enough, the beautiful part about all of this is at this time of year, before they get the rains in the fall, everything's like, all the grass is like really dry and it's brown, so it gives a good contrast with, between it and the tan oaks that are around the area. Gorgeous environment. Yeah, the hillsides are just absolutely beautiful. And in a few months from now, which I'm here in September, a few months from now, the leaves of the vineyards change colors, and it really makes the hillsides pop. Some of these turns that you're going to go around, the vineyards are just, you look down a hill, they're just all over the place. It looks like you're in Italy. You get that vibe from this area that, man, I feel like I'm somewhere way more special than California. California is a special place. I mean, the politics have ruined it, but I think California is on the mend, if you ask me. And the reason why I say that is because this trip out there, I think people are starting to get with it. But anyway, that being said, I love driving through this area of the country because I get to the point where I come around a bend and the smell of the grapevines in these vineyards it just overwhelms your palate, and you're just like, oh my goodness. The really cool thing is the adventure isn't on US 101. It's just off the sides of it. If you take some of the roads that are just going through some of these little small towns that pop up, between here and San Francisco, you've got a nice place to stop for lunch, or you have a nice place to stop for dinner. And it is just wonderful. Non-chain restaurants. They're like all these mom and pop places. You get in these small towns and you're like, oh my goodness. You go into this Italian restaurant and they've got veal and it's just, oh my gosh. Or they have some of the best pasta you've ever had in your entire life. Everything's homemade. It's really interesting and really good. I definitely recommend it. If your intention is to stay in San Francisco or whatever, I would just say go to San Francisco. But if you want to adventure like I am doing in my trip here, you definitely want to kind of pick a hub and then just kind of adventure off of that. The only thing is, you end up with a situation where California is big, and a 2-hour drive may not seem that bad from a perspective from Iowa, but a 2-hour drive from a Californian perspective is a mental exercise that is nearly unmatched, unless you're like from West Virginia or something, because a 2-hour drive in them hills is just unreal, because you're watching for critters. You're watching, well, depending on the vehicle you have, you're watching to make sure that the dip in front of you is not a great big dip that's going to bottom the car out, or the side of the road that looks like it might not be there is actually there, because, and that's just something I had to deal with on this trip. But anyway, it is what it is. So the really cool thing is, the highway goes along the Russian River. Depending on the time of year you're here, holy cow, the Russian River is just unbelievable. It goes from a trickle in some years to I stop off at the Russian River at some point here, and I when I was here last time, I walked across the river. I wouldn't dare walk across that thing, looking at it this time. But I'm sitting here looking at this. I'm like, gosh darn it. I could walk across this river a couple years ago, like literally walk across it and not get my ankles wet. And now it's a decent sized river, and it's actually got water in it. All of the reservoirs in California have water in them again. It's really gorgeous. It's really beautiful. I really feel like the area has healed a little bit just because of that. But anyway, is what it is. Now, a lot of people are familiar with the Pacific Coast Highway sections of the US Highway 101. Now, you're not going to see many views of any bodies of water along this stretch. However, what you are going to see are beautiful valleys full of vineyards, and you're going to see all the different colors. Especially at this time of year, it just gets really, really breathtaking and stunning. It's amazing what you're going to see. Not so much in the way of water, though. I mean, there are some river valleys, and you can see some really cool things along those periods of times when they have rain and stuff is going crazy. But this is pretty kind of a chill time of year to come through this area. Made a stop at the Russian River. Nice little cove here. Somebody made themselves a rope swing into this little deep hole there, and it's made out of a tie-down strap. Look at this. Some of these are the oak variety. We got some bay trees over here. California bay. It usually hits me pretty hard. This stuff here is like tear gas to me. I mean, I can't really mess with it too much because that stuff just wipes me out. Yeah, let's see here. So the rest, oh my gosh, a dime. Oh my goodness. That's pretty lucky. That's pretty lucky. Really interesting thing about California is if you find trash on the ground and it's been there for 20 years or so, you end up with a situation where it becomes a quote historical artifact, and you can't disturb it. So a lot of the trash that's like on the roadsides, you can't do anything with it because it's historical artifacts. And I imagine somebody would want to take that loofah and pick it up and throw it away. But if it's there for a long enough period of time, it ends up you can't do anything with it. So, but really cool thing is, as beautiful as California is, people don't treat it with any respect, and it's just the most depressing thing. So this is a few weeks before the monsoon season starts to come here, and this river here will get pretty naughty. And a couple of years ago when I was here, you could pretty much walk across this and not get wet at all. But anyway, there will be so much water coming down here that it'll be plumb up to the tree line here, and it'll be just whitewater rapids the entire way. And I don't know how there's trees in here, but yeah, it gets pretty naughty in here. But anyway, like I was saying earlier, if you haven't been here, if you can get over the fact that people are just they just have no respect for anything. As much as California tries to say, oh, well, you know, we're progressive, we're super awesome, we love everything, and everybody's just so in touch with everything. That's complete BS. Nobody really cares about anything around here, and it's sad because you'll go somewhere and, you know, there's trash all over the place, and it's just ridiculous. It's like, come on, pick that up. Oh, your White Claw can. Oh, let's pick that up. Oh, your grill. I don't know. A lot of it has to do with homeless, and you know, it's just a lot of problems that just exacerbates it on itself, and it's heartbreaking in a way coming out here, looking at all this beauty and seeing that people don't take care of it. I mean, like, there's a pair of jeans and a tree over there. There's not a thing out here that doesn't have graffiti on it. It's just ridiculous. I'm surprised there's not graffiti on that. But if it's man-made, there's graffiti on it. It's just ridiculous. But I mean, some of it's tasteful graffiti. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it gets so crazy out here where if there's like a ditch, you can't do anything with it because it's considered a riparian area, you know, and like this washout here, there's a lot of needless bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy that should happen doesn't happen out here. Is what it is. Anyway, going to San Francisco. Awesome. All right, let's head out. Russian River. It's pretty freaking cool. There's lots of turnouts. You can kind of stop and, oh, look, another piece of trash. Like I said, makes it otherwise beautiful area insufferable. Is what it is. Probably a bunch of teenagers come down here, Fiji water. Christmas. Oh, look, drinking. Oh. All right, guys. Enough of this depression. Hopefully, I can avoid the parts of San Francisco that are full of poop. Oh my goodness. And hopefully, I can avoid the areas that are full of homeless people. So we'll find out. Let's get on the road. Now keep in mind, I came into the north side of San Francisco via the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, I chose this reason because from a filming perspective and from an actual driving perspective, when you round the corners of Highway 101, as you get closer to the Golden Gate Bridge, you see it creep out from behind the mountains, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's just it just grabs you further and further in you go, and it's just like, oh, there it is, it's so cool. Anyway, there's only a few places like this that get you excited like this, and or bring you through the adventure like this area does. I really like it. I mean, when you're ways off, you can see the Golden Gate Bridge, but as you get closer, you're like weaving through the mountains, and it's like, oh my goodness, before it, like, it's just kind of a thing in the background, but now you're like, oh, I'm actually going to it. It's right there. It's coming. I see it. You're getting excited. If you got kids in the car with you, or if you've got your old lady or your husband or whatever, they're getting all excited, especially if they've never been there before. This is just one of them great ways to bring somebody in here. Coming in from the south side is pretty cool too, but on the north side you've got that, just, it's hiding behind the mountains, and then bam. But on the north side, you might come through fog. It's really surreal. Anyway, it's fantastic coming in from the north side. Coming in from the south side is really cool too, but you see more of the bridge as you're coming up to it, and everything is telling you that you're coming up to it. But on the north side, it's just like, oh, you don't know you're there, and then you get to the Robin Williams Tunnel, and bam, there it is. It's just there in living color. It's just unbelievable. On the south side, if you go into the neighborhoods on the south side and you go down this little 2-lane road, this narrow, I wouldn't take a bus or anything, or an RV or any size into there. I'm sure people do and they get away with it, but I wouldn't. It would just be too much of a bother. Anyway, you take that down there along the San Francisco Bay there, and you will come up to a large brick building. And this brick building at the very end of this road in the parking lot was actually built in the Civil War. This is called Fort Point. Now, the really interesting thing was during California became a state in 1850, right? And this little fort here actually became something, basically 1853, they decided, you know what, we need to fortify some of these harbors that are over here, and Golden Gate, the Golden Gate Strait, actually this great big bay here, we need to actually fortify that. So they sent some people over there, Corps engineers started working on it, and then it was actually completed in 1861. Well, what was going on there? The Civil War. So pretty much 200 soldiers went out there and were stationed there, and pretty much didn't have anything to do. But could you imagine being stationed out there and then the Civil War? You hear all this stuff about the Civil War. You don't really fathom that we had already gotten to California. You just don't put that into perspective the way you do, right? So anyway, it was supposed to be gunned and manned. It never got its full complement of anything, and realistically, it didn't really do anything. The CSS Shenandoah was actually on its way to attack that fort. Let's see here, in 1865, and fortunately for everybody involved, the dude just was like, okay, well, we got to turn around and go back because the war's over. After the Civil War, basically the structure was pretty much abandoned. The strategic importance of the facility wasn't really there. I mean, technology pretty much outran what it was designed to do. That, and they built some fortifications and stuff on the north side of the harbor, so basically just directly across. Way better anyway. So in 1906, we had a big earthquake in San Francisco. It suffered moderate damage, so it is what it is. And when they built a Golden Gate Bridge, they were going to actually tear this thing down, but that's why you got that great big arch there that they were able to save the building. And in 1970, Fort Point was named a National Historic Site, so now it's actually in the Historic Register, and you can go there, and it's actually, if you go to goldengate.org, you can read all about this thing and all about all of the features around the Golden Gate Bridge. Really cool place. One good thing about government is when they get historians writing on websites and everything and building up documentation for things, they usually tend to do a pretty good job. And a lot of this stuff is pretty propaganda free, so you don't have to worry about politics of the time as the things are being written. They're usually pretty straightforward. It is what it is. It's pretty nice. I like it. So going back across the bridge, we're going to the north side of the bridge now, kind of hang out for a little bit. And I do want to take a walk across this thing, so let's get going. So all 6 lanes of the Golden Gate Bridge are considered US 101 and also the California Highway 1, State Route 1. And also there's a bike route 95 across it, so it's pretty cool there. The really neat thing, I like saying the really neat thing. Another neat thing about this is it's the total length of the bridge is 1.7 miles, right? And it's 90 feet wide. You know, from one side to the other, it's 90 feet wide, and it has a total height of 746 feet. 500 feet above the water is your happy butt driving across this, right? Now, there's 3 spans. You've got the short one that goes over the fort, and then I just talked to you with Fort Point, and then you've got the big main arch span that goes across the bay, and then, well, the Golden Gate Strait, but goes across the water, and then you have the last little span. All right. Well, anyway, you get off on the Lone Sailor Monument. That right there is a really cool thing. It's got compass rose and everything. You know, you pull off into there, you park there, then you can get out, and guess what? You can walk across the bridge from there. Well, you can walk across the bridge from both sides. It is what it is. Now, keep in mind when you're going across the bridge, yeah, it's there is a toll, so just kind of keep that very much in mind when you are going across there. So, yeah. When I went across there, I went across like 5 times. I understand, you know, it is what it is. Daily traffic numbers are about 88,000, so don't be one of them that just kind of sits there and just does whatever. And we're going to go into the parking area just off to the north side there. And we're going to start our way walking across the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, there's about 88,000 cars that run across this bridge every day, and there are 6 lanes of traffic. So just keep in mind, don't be one of them people that's like slowing down everything for everybody else. Traffic jams are super rare on the bridge, but they do tend to happen sometimes. But anyway, from my understanding, it's pretty rare. A lot of people think that, you know, they just, you know, like named it whatever, and it's just a Golden Gate Bridge. And, you know, they don't understand, well, the Golden Gate Bridge has never been gold. It's always been like bronzy orange or like burnt orange or something like that. It's like, yeah, we get that, but that's not why it was named. It wasn't named for its color. It was named that because the Golden Gate Strait. So that's where the Golden Gate Bridge gets its name. So going on the north side of the bridge, there is a parking area, and you can, you know, get over there. I mean, there's actually another military facility that was there. Really interesting thing about that is they decommissioned that and basically turned it into a big park. Anyway, like I said previously, good grief, can't have anything nice. Oh, let's put up some beautiful artwork and stuff that tells you what's going on. No, people can't leave that alone either. Why? Because they're douchebags. Anyway, other than that, at least they keep the bridge pretty graffiti clean. Probably where all their budget goes to. Anyway, other than that, it looks pretty good. Man, I'm glad to see that warning sign over there is covered in stickers and trash. Thanks, everybody. Love it. Other than that, yeah, haven't yet made it into the cesspool. Right down there in the lower part, where it's kind of like Peasantville, you want to stay away from there. It's not real bad, but it's just not photogenic. But anyway, you want to go down over here, Pier 29. Down over here is fine. Up on top of the hill over here is fine. And in the bigger, the financial district, that's fine too. But yeah, coming into San Francisco from the bridge over there is not too bad. Obviously, it's not the Golden Gate Bridge, but do keep in mind this too.
But you just kind of go online and pay it with your license plate. It's pretty easy. Yep, pretty cool. Great white sharks are biting today. So might go down there and cast a line in, who knows. Maybe get 2 or 3 of them. They've got a creel limit of 3, so might come back tomorrow. I don't know, I hear they're good eating if you're really desperate. So yeah, heck yeah.
So it's hard to believe that this thing was actually built in the 30s. It started construction January 5th of 1933 and wasn't done until April 19th of 1937. It opened up May 27th of 1937, so basically, was that 88? Yeah, it's 88 years ago. I mean, come on, guys. You wouldn't think that something like that... I mean, we have a hard enough time building things nowadays that last more than 20 years. And this thing has been up there for nearly a century. You know, this thing has survived many earthquakes. They've retrofitted it numerous times. I mean, it's a fairly sturdy and safe structure, to be quite honest. You know, when you do walk across the bridge, which you can walk, and there's also a bike path on the bridge. I mean, you can ride your bikes across the bridge. When I was there, it was under construction, so the bikers were on the pedestrian side. I mean, I'm sure that happens constantly too on a normal basis, but you know, there's a bike lane on one side and then there's a pedestrian lane on the other. Anyway, so walking across the Golden Gate Bridge is, if you can do that, I would very much recommend doing that. Once in your life, go to the Golden Gate Bridge, go out there, go look at. I didn't walk across the whole thing because, you know, quite frankly, you know, once you've gotten halfway, the rest of it is pretty much the same. So anyway, I wanted to walk out to the middle and you know, just kind of sit there for a little bit. And up until this point, I'd never walked. I've driven over the Golden Gate Bridge once in a bucket truck, a utility bucket truck, 70-foot bucket truck, and then a couple other times in just regular passenger vehicles. Never in a topless Corvette. Never have I done that. That was really cool. That was an experience that I can say that was well worth the price of admission. Price of admission, actually. That reminds me. It is a toll bridge. So keep in mind, if you go across the bridge, there's a toll. So just don't be overly shocked. But anyway, basically you go online, you pay it, just like you do everything else these days. Nothing's ever in person anymore. Anyway, it is what it is. But anyway, so on the north side, you've got Fort Baker, and on the south side, you've got, what is it, Fort Point. I just got done talking about that. Really cool that they were able to put the bridge there and be able to save that structure. That was in the 1970s. They put that on the National Historic Register. And, you know, as far as everything is concerned, I mean, you've got to go here. Oh, my goodness. It just is what it is. Let's see here. How much did this thing cost? I think it was like $35 million or something. Anyway, it basically comes out to 1.8 billion in today's money, how much it cost to build this bridge. And still keeping in mind that most other bridges and civil engineering projects, they can't seem to, I mean, go through the state of Missouri, and that bridge is on the ocean and it has survived for over 80 years. And you can't find me one bridge in Missouri that doesn't look like it's about to fall in on itself. I mean, good grief. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, I love Missouri. I'm from Missouri, and I really love that state. But, man, they need to do something with their bridges. Iowa's pretty bad, too. Anyway, that being said. Oh, and that's, you know, you can't use the salt on the roads argument, because that thing's in salt 100% of the time. I mean, come on. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm razzing you guys that, if you live in Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, or whatever, and you have crappy bridges around you, I'm just, it is what it is. So walking out there is just an unreal experience. I mean, I've never touched the Golden Gate Bridge. This was the first time I touched the bridge. And yeah, it just, yeah. So it's really crazy. You can feel the whole bridge creaking and kind of bouncing and gyrating with the wind and everything. And you can, I mean, it's the structure's alive. It's amazing that the thing has survived as long as it has. But anyway, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, come on. This is crazy. I love this bridge. Anyway, yeah. Let's see here. One thing you have to consider about going to the Golden Gate Bridge is it can be bright and sunny in San Francisco, but you go to the bridge and it is completely covered in fog. And then you go out to the ocean, it's bright and sunny. It's just, you just don't know from one moment to the next, depending on the time of year, obviously. From one moment to the next, you cannot say with any certainty that you're going to have clear weather. So when you do go, expect to have fog, expect your visibility to be poor, but don't make that ruin your experience. Like I said, if you can get out and go to the bridge, go do that. Get out there and touch this thing. Feel the vibrations, feel the shuddering of the environment. Go across it. They've got tour buses that have open tops. There are so many things, so many ways you can experience this bridge, obviously. And oh my goodness, there's little trike tour bike things, the little car things. They don't have reverse, but they've got every other gear, and you can drive them around. You can rent all sorts of things. It is amazing the infrastructure they have there for people who have time to go and look around and want to enjoy things and would rather do that than go shopping in the neighborhoods. Anyway, guys, man. So anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments, and you do want to see more of these videos, let me know in the comment section. If you don't want to see them, that's too bad. I'm going to keep posting them. I may spin this series off into another YouTube channel altogether, but for right now, we're not going to do that because, quite frankly, we're just building up this channel, seeing what sticks. I'm going to be doing a little bit more with the car-centric stuff, so just kind of keep that. Just keep that in the back of your minds. You're going to see more car stuff rather than driving stuff. But for now, we're just kind of doing a little mix of everything and seeing what you guys are more responsive to. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you've been out to places like this yourself, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you like a particular way that I put this video together, or you don't like something, leave it in the comment section. I want to hear some feedback from you guys. That way I can better make the videos in the future. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I was very excited to go to this place, as you can tell. And if you have been there, please share your story too. It would be very fun for everybody, not just myself, to read your experience as well. Basically reinforce with them, regardless of your politics. I don't understand why people don't go to places because, they're, they vote this or they'll vote, just shut up, go and enjoy it. Just go there and enjoy the place. That rock doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Go visit it. Okay, guys? Come on. Anyway, guys, until next video, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.